to another episode of the Ripple Intent podcast. I'm here with my co-host, John Grant. This is Kyle McCruskey, and today we have a very special guest joining us for our conversation. That is Tracey Abel. Tracey, could you go ahead and say hello, introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning. This is Tracey Abel. I am part of the board for Ripple Intent, so happy to be here this morning.
And Tracey's been involved with us for a very long time. I think going back to one of the very first symposiums we had in Denver, she was an integral part in making that happen and has been a huge supporter of what we do. And we have learned so much from Tracey over the years, and her approach to work, to life, to volunteer work, to Ripple Intent has just been an amazing journey. So I'm really glad that you're here. And John, say hello.
Hello again, listeners. We love having you here and exploring how we can change the way we work together.
Awesome. I want to jump in our conversation right away because I really enjoy where Tracey goes with this. It wasn't too long ago you brought a topic to our breakfast clubs, and it was one that was kind of surprising, but also just amazing. And what you did with it at your work, I think everyone needs to hear, and that was around dreams. So can you give us an insight as to what it was? And yeah, I'm going to stop talking because this is your topic. This is all you.
Yeah, so I asked our team whenever we were getting ready to set up our goals, our 5-year goals, our 10-year goals, 15-year goals, that I wanted to know more about not just their work goals, but what were their dreams and aspirations. I wanted to help them figure out how to make some of those come true. We hear people say goals like, I want to live in France, or I want to do certain things, but do we really? So I pushed them as a team to say, I think most of you know that my dream would be to be in the Caribbean for January till April. And how do I make that happen? And so really walking through with them, sharing those deep things that we sometimes hide within us and we don't share with people because we may not even believe that it's possible. So we just consider it a dream, but how do you turn those dreams into portions of reality for yourself? And then question yourself. So, I gave them a list of questions like, where does this rate in my priorities? How long would it be? Could I leave my family that's here, my granddaughter, my son, to really go do that every year? Or if I stayed there for 3 years to get some kind of business going or anything like that. So really, which island would I live on? Do I buy property? Do I go and rent a space for 4 months? How can I possibly afford a second home? Who do I ask? So I ran through all of these scenarios with myself. And then you start to really dive into some of those questions around your dreams, and you can start answering some of them for yourself. Or is it really that I miss the time? When I go on my back porch in the summer, am I taking advantage of that? Or am I just creating busy work for myself all the time?
So wait a minute, you got to back up a second here because sure. I'm just trying to picture. So you asked your team, right, that you manage to go through and do some pre-work, answer questions about what their dreams are and what they entail, some of the logistics and specifics behind that, and then have them talk to you. I'm just trying to visualize this in where I've worked in the past, and I can imagine some pretty amazing, like not amazing, more crazy reactions. Like, what the heck are you asking me to do? This isn't a work thing. How did that go?
Yeah, so over time you're developing a relationship with your employees to say, you don't have to share that with me. I just want you to explore it, because maybe you have a dream of teaching here at CSU. How can I help you to get to that dream? Maybe you want to work in, somebody wants to try Hawaii. Let me figure out how I can get you a sabbatical to see if it's possible, especially when we were in COVID. Bring it to me. I'll try to help you with that. And so I did not press them to share that dream. I gave them the opportunity to come back to me, and several did. And several, said, I've never even thought in that manner of what I could do or what I could go after and achieve. And it's so cool to get pictures of them. Hey, here's something that I followed to get to meet one of my dreams, So I think we tell ourselves never, oh, that's never going to happen. Well, it's not, because if you don't believe it, it's never going to happen. That's true. So just getting people to really think that through, just as an exercise, right? I'm not going to set your goals for your job on that, but it may change the trajectory of what you want to do over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
So Tracey, this is blowing my mind. So in the work setting, right, we often talk about performance goals. Let's set goals. So it sounds to me like the potential of some of those dreams, which are way bigger, that it may be contrary to a work goal, to actually, long-term employment with your organization, right? So like, how did you overcome that hurdle in terms of perception with your different employees?
Well, I think you guys know I care about people a lot. So if I have someone here who's performing and happy and thinking about their future, even if it means you're leaving me to go somewhere, I would rather have 2 years of great performance than 5 years of hating every day at your job and not performing, right? So when you invest in people, no matter how you invest in them, they're going to perform better. I mean, a job, any job, is a path to the next job, the retirement, the dream, whatever it is. So how can I invest in you now so that performance for you, for your family, for your job, whatever it is you're doing, that you're finding some joy in it along the way, and you want to stay vested where you're at. I mean, I would think that performance would show that when we're investing in people, that people stay longer.
I totally see the contradiction though, John, right? Where your dreams, your goals may be to leave the organization that you're working for. And that can be stressful for a team member to have that conversation with the manager to say, my long-term vision, my long-term dream, what I really want to do is not be here. Right. That is
I
not
had
what
that conversation. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, we had that conversation. They felt like that they had bigger things to do. And, also looking to get into that bracket where they could retire earlier. And I told them that I won't hold you back from that. Where we are today, I'm still going to promote you where you're at. That goal changes, but I'm not going to hold you from that. I'm going to help you achieve that. Whatever that goal is, I guess I can't take that as a threat, right? That's not a threat to me. It's how do I help you so that you'll achieve over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, till you make that leap. And when you make that leap, that I'm not keeping a person from their best for the whatever organization they're in. And so, yeah, we actually had that conversation, and it was like, I don't see myself here to finish out my career.
All right. So I'm guessing a lot of people are going through the same thought process. Like right now going, this would be an awesome conversation. I would love to have this with both my boss, the people I work with, and the people I manage. And the next question in their head is, how do I start this conversation? So can you share some of the pre-work you started to before, but can you share, how did you, we don't want to dive into how did you create the safe environment where people trust you enough to have this open and honest conversation. That's a whole nother series of podcasts. But for our conversation today, right, what I really want to hear is, how did you get you said you had them do some pre-work, right? Answers, you teed up some questions, you had them do some stuff.
Yeah.
What were those? Can you give us some visibility into what were those for those who want to go try this on their own and wade into it without just sitting down with somebody going, tell me what your dreams are? Because that would be really awkward.
Yes. So for my team, this is how the conversation started. Guys, I've noticed that my temper's been much shorter fused, and I'm focused on putting issues beyond what we're normally tasked to do, right? So we were just overloaded at the time. And, we've been focused on those and planning around work and home, finance, family. Like, how do we step away from that and just enjoy life just a little bit? And so then I encouraged them in saying, let's revisit some of the dreams that we have going on behind the scenes. We haven't picked up for a long time, all of us, and write them down and begin to navigate beyond the next 6 months of where we're at today. We know that you're not all going on vacation for 3 weeks in the next 6 months, but like begin to navigate that, to start thinking about, yeah, this is a dream, because life will pass us by if we don't pick some of those things up, and really encouraging them in that sense first, like just giving them some encouragement that I'm aware what's going on and that work is tough. Like I've been tough to deal with sometimes, but I want to encourage all of us to feel comfortable that you don't have to suppress that constantly.
So what did you hear? I'm curious to know about some of the dreams that people were willing to share with you.
I think it takes time to process, right? So you're hearing this thing and you're going, if I'm from an employee, I'm like, is this something that I need to turn in as homework? And it wasn't. I just told them, when the opportunity presents itself, it's seriously something that I'm truly here to listen and want to help you to get there. If it's something that you feel comfortable in sharing. Couple didn't feel comfortable in sharing, and that's fine. Others, that's how they live their life. They live their life following, what's on their heart and following that dream.
So Tracey, were these is this a group conversation? Were you able to get everyone to share there, or were these one-on-ones?
It's more of I just followed it up with an email to truly ask all those questions that I talked to you guys about, to give them the opportunity to think through, and write down, what are my dreams? How would I ask myself those questions? What would they be? To give them that opportunity, and then followed up with them, not pressing, that it was opening up the opportunity. And, several of them came back and said, thank you. They responded back in an email. And then, it's cool when you get a picture. Here, I'm at this dream. Here, I bought the new home. Here, we're planning this trip, or whatever that dream is. But, I don't feel like that it had to be shared, to be honest. It's personal. It's just opening up that window of, you've got dreams in you. Let's not let life pass us by in this stressful job.
You mentioned getting the house. How did you help people over? So I'm very pragmatic, very practical.
Yeah.
And so what I hear when you ask me what my dream is, my dream would probably be answered in a series of goals, right? Very tangible milestones. We're in this industry, scheduling, got to get stuff done, achieve things. So I would probably, my first pass in answering that question would be, well, here's the goals, right? I'm trying to get a new car. I'm trying to get my kid to college. I'm trying to do those things. Right. And I'm sure some of your folks came back with that, but I don't think those are dreams. Are they?
Well, I think it depends. If it seems so out of reach that, it's kind of a dream, if you don't think that you can achieve that, that's how I see it as a dream, compared to something that, when I retire, right, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. To me, that's a goal. Compared to, I don't know, right now, it doesn't seem possible to own a second home for me in the Caribbean. How would I manage that? Right. So to me, that's a dream that will eventually turn into a goal if I foster it, if we foster those dreams, we might be able to turn them into a goal, or we might be able to let it go. So once you ask yourself all the questions, like, would I rather, like the Caribbean, would I rather try to travel somewhere different? Maybe I don't want to go to that house every week when I really think about it, or maybe the beach in Lake McConaughey is close enough. Maybe that's all I wanted was a weekend off, not 4 months. So you help yourself manage through that to decide whether it's goal.
Do we have to learn or relearn how to dream as adults? I'm just wondering, because we've talked a lot at Ripple and Ton about, the kids, and we see that when we do activities and we do team stuff and we bring people together, what we see a lot of is, right, there's a lot of risk aversion, a lot of planning, a lot of thinking it through. And when you throw the same or similar activities to kids, and there's been all kinds of examples out there that support this, right? Kids will try and fail repeatedly. They will jump right in and do it. It is pretty amazing, the disconnect, and or not disconnect, the difference between the two. And what I'm wondering is, if we go through life, we, between our experiences, our environments, where we work, what we learn, we become more cautious, more risk averse, and that some would say it's experience, right? So we only have to do things once as opposed to trying it 100 times. But the reality is we've learned how to be uncreative through our working lives, right? We have actually learned how to not do some of those things and have that open mind that we had when we were kids. I'm wondering, is it the same thing with dreams as adults? Is this a skill to practice? I'm just wondering for you, because I hear your dream in the Caribbean, and it's a very passionate one. It's a very strong one. Have you had that for most of your adult life, or is that something that came up recently, or is it something that evolved over time?
I would say it's been over the past 4 years. And so when you start asking yourself those questions, when you say, is this something that we've lost? I think in dreams, like things that we have in our hearts, whether it's we feel like it's something that we're called to do, that's a little bit different than truly a dream. Or maybe they married with each other, but you're also managing the risks. And so a lot of times the risk of that dream, once you walk through that, you're realizing, is that really a dream, or is that just something that I think would be cool, right? Because you have to be willing to give up certain things. Like, if I go, who do I want to share that with? If my family's all here and they're all working and can't go, how important is it to be there compared to being back here? So is that dream, totally different going laying on the beach compared to us talking about, no, I have a calling to go there, and maybe I need to go there to help in mission work, or I need to go there to help them build something. Or those are two different things in my mind, a dream compared to a calling. And so do I feel like I lost it or had a long way? No, I think along life you fulfill different dreams, and then they transition, and you learn more and you learn more, and then you realize what it is you want to do. Other times you look back and you're like, glad I didn't follow that inclination, because you see other things that happen in life. So it's a complete process of following through with what you think. And it settles something on the inside of us. Then we're not completely unsatisfied with what we've done over the past, 20, 30 years of our careers and our lives.
Tracey, I love this idea. And I have strategic and futuristic in my top 5 strengths. I love looking at the future and thinking about things. And I feel like there's a gap in how our work lives typically function, and that we frequently don't help people around us paint those pictures of their futures. So this speaks near and dear to me. But you mentioned the word calling, and you've talked to us about that a little bit in the past. And I'd love for you to kind of reframe for us how this approach for you, how you operate at work, how is this a calling for you?
Right. So I think, we all talk about our strengths that we have through Gallup. And my second strength is belief. And I, as a Christian, walk through that with my faith, but I believe that, I'm put on this earth for certain reasons. And that walking through that, there are certain callings that I feel heart set on. And it's about people. It's not about the processes that we do on a daily basis. It's not about the buildings we build. That calling is how can I help individuals with whatever situation it is that they're walking through. I don't always model that correctly, for sure. I mean, if you've worked with me before, you can say, okay. But it's truly thinking through how can I help them with what I'm experiencing, so that we don't look back on our lives and go, I wish I would have, or I could have, or all of those things. So it's really walking that out and just going, okay, what I see that this individual has the potential for themselves. It's just this job constantly feels like it's bogging them down. How do I get them beyond that? We do have stressful jobs in this industry, but we aren't doing heart surgery on a table. So we have to be able to manage that part of it and go, okay, there is life beyond the hours that we put in at the office.
Well, even the surgeon, I think, has dreams as well. And perhaps
Sure.
that's, they're doing their calling, and that's wonderful. But it's amazing how many care providers are out there, and they wonder from time to time, is this the right thing? They might feel that they're in the, and we're all that way at some point. We all feel. I remember listening to Jason Romero's speech when he was talking. This is the guy who first blind guy to run from Los Angeles to New York, ran it all the way across the country in about 60 days, 50 plus miles a day on average. Amazing story, amazing speaker. But he said the inspiration to do that wasn't because he had it on his to-do list. It literally came at one of the darkest moments of his life, and he felt a calling, an urgency, just something that said, you got to go figure out how to do this. And at first he didn't listen. He did, but not really, right? It wasn't like the clouds broke and the sun came through and there were rainbows and music. I mean, no, it was actually completely the opposite. And over time, it just kept weighing on him to where he decided that this is actually what I need to do. And I think that happens to a lot of us. I can think of many times in my life where there were like these whispers or nudges or things that were trying to influence me, whether it's consciously, most of the time subconsciously, right? But you just these different feelings, or somebody passing through your life in just a moment, and they say something and you're like, huh, it just catches your attention. I'm like, I would never have. And before you know it, you start working on it, and it becomes a part of who you are. And it's interesting. I wonder, in part of that conversation, how many people have had those moments where they've ignored or I'll pick on you, John, for a second, right? Engineered their way out of following those because they were able to justify, I need to keep going down this path and doing these things to get to where I think I'm supposed to be. And I'm only saying that because of the engineering piece of it.
Yes, engineers like it.
Like which part?
Right. Well, right. I mean, we engineering our way through things. I'm pretty sure I can convert this whole conversation to a spreadsheet pretty quickly.
I think a calling is that too, is just what you said, is it's not always fun. It's not always what you would choose to do, but there's that inner part of you that knows that it's probably what you need to do, and also in the end what's best to do. And I don't know how to say it beyond that, because there's a lot of things that people are called to do, and it wouldn't be what they chose.
Well, and
that's a good point.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting in that too, so right, we pick careers, and we're not may not necessarily be called to that career per se, but we certainly find our purpose and find the calling within what we've chosen to do, right? I don't know that I would say I was called to be an engineer, but through the work that I do, I have found my calling in helping people grow to be the best of themselves. And so I'm able to just, again, use the career choice to help people around me. And it doesn't really have necessarily an impact on the fact that I'm an engineer. Right? That's just my day job. It's the means to an end that, of course, right, helps me take care of my family and put food on the table and afford to do the things we want to do, to help support some of the dreams. But I get so much fulfillment now out of the calling component, that I can't turn away from it. I can't turn it off. It's with me all the time.
This is a conversation that I think we could have for many, many hours. Unfortunately, we don't have many hours. So before we head off, one last thing, is there one thing that you could share with our folks listening today around dreams? What would that be, Tracey? I'll start with you.
I think spend some time and try to identify the dreams compared to the goals that you're setting for yourself in your life, and share it with the people around you. It'll bring you joy.
Well said. John, how about you?
I'm totally energized to go and try this, Tracey. I have not had this conversation with the people I work with. So it's time to dig in and give this a shot. And I love, the starting with yourself as an example to give them, to show them that this is okay. This is an acceptable level of vulnerability. So I'm ready. I'm going to go set up a meeting with my team as soon as we're done here. I love it.
It's awesome,
Kyle,
John.
how about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I want to go have these conversations. I want to remind folks, though, be aware of the environment that you have. Remember, if you were to just kind of blindside somebody, or somebody blindsided you at work and said, "Hey, we're going to talk about dreams today," it may be a little jilted and a little awkward from the get-go. So take some of the takeaways that Tracey shared earlier about how to get people thinking about that, right? And it may just be posed a question and let them share when they're ready. It may be you might have the environment that John's describing that he has with his team members to go openly have the dialogue, with a little bit of prep, a little bit of thinking and preparation. But just be aware of your own environment, and those around you, and your relationships. But do not hesitate to go somewhere with this conversation. I mean, the concept of exploring dreams with those you work with is an amazing, powerful thing that we certainly don't do enough of. With that, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you to everybody for listening. Continue to support what we do here at Ripple Intent. I want to say thank you to co-host John, and also very special thank you to Tracey for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here, Tracey. We appreciate it, and we will see you down the road. Take care, everyone.